You're listening to the new WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com. Click live stream tab or watch us live on your smart TV, YouTube, WCEG Network. I'm Dr. Charles Ross, host of Your Personal Finance for the next hour or so. And we're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio and at WCEG Network. And of course, all the topics and opinions here are mine and the guests and not the WCEG Network. Welcome again to another edition of Your Personal Finance. My guest today is Deborah Brown. She's with the Atlanta Housing. It's not Atlanta Housing Authority anymore, right?
Not anymore. It's just Atlanta Housing.
Atlanta Housing. And a lot of great things are happening in Atlanta and take advantage of that. She's here to talk about first-time home buyers and all the different types of programs there are. A lot of people think that they can't afford to buy a house because they don't have the down payment. And that's not necessarily true. And, Ms. Brown's going to come on and talk about some of the options they have in homeownership for first-time home buyers in the city of Atlanta. But before we do that, Ms. Brown, would you introduce yourself, some of your background, what you've done? You've been doing this for a long time. So you give us a little snippet of your background and your experience in the housing area.
Well, good evening, Dr. Ross, and thank you for having me today. And I'm very honored to be a part of the radio show. So just a little bit about me. I am with Atlanta Housing. I've been with Atlanta Housing for 14 years. Actually been doing this in the same capacity, giving away money. You can't get any better than that, right?
Right.
But my background, I'm a realtor as well. And what we do, and I've been in public housing for 30 years. But I want to say that too loud. But I've worked in several other housing authorities around the country, and I've been here for 14 years. And it's just work with a great group of people. Mike Wilson is my senior VP. He heads our department. Pat Evans is my director. I work with a great group. Kathleen Miller is my program manager. And Amanda Triggs is a homeownership specialist. So we work with a great group of people. We do wonderful things. We just make it happen. We're a small group, but we make it happen. So, to date, I think we've closed about 239 first-time home buyers just this year, starting from July 1 of our fiscal year starts July 1. To currently, we've closed about 235 people. So collectively, we have over 1,000 first-time home buyers since we started this program.
Now, you mentioned that you've worked in other housing places around the country. How does the Atlanta market, compare as far as you're concerned? How's the Atlanta market compared to some of the other cities you've worked in?
It's a different time, of course, in terms of the years and the dates, but by far, they're tops. I have to say that, in terms of what they offer and what they do, and just being a good partner in the community. Some people, other housing authorities have first-time homebuyer program, but you might get 5,000 or 7,000. But here, if you're in a preference group, you can get $25,000, of which you don't have to pay back. You can't get it any better than that.
It doesn't get any better than that. Yeah, and Atlanta just there's a lot of growth growing around in Atlanta. I mean, building just about everywhere. And one of the things about Atlanta, and when I say Atlanta, we're talking about the city of Atlanta in proper, which we're not necessarily talking about the greater Atlanta area as far as the down payment. Now, some of the down payment programs do apply, I guess, in other areas, but so when that comes up, you'll be specific about that. But there's a lot of building going on. I work over in the 30315 over in University Avenue for the folks who are local here and prior, and just all kinds of apartment buildings are going up, houses are getting rehab. It's just a great time. What we're seeing now, what I'm hearing, is that the market now is more of a seller's market because a lot of folks are not going anywhere. Well, put it this way: if they're looking to sell their home, they don't know if they sell their current home, will they be able to buy another one. Do you see some of that happening? Has that slowed down your assistance programs a little bit?
Not at all.
No, really?
We're busier than ever. The only thing that makes, and you just alluded to it, the only thing that slows us down a bit is that the inventory in the city of Atlanta is very limited now.
Right, right.
So because the sell prices it's a seller's market, as you just described, the market is such that, houses that last year perhaps or 2 years ago was selling for 150 are now selling for almost 300. So
wow.
and so our folks have to be at 80% of the area median income, which is about $68,000. So our folks their incomes cannot exceed that.
Right.
Currently. So that's all that, that's the only thing that we see that may be hindering us at this point is because we can't find inventory to meet what their sale price is currently. So they may be approved for 200, and sometimes it's very difficult to find a house in the city of Atlanta for 200,000.
Wow. And see, now that makes sense, because if it's first time home buyers, then you don't have a home right now. So you're not in a position of worrying about whether you can sell your current home, because you don't have a really home to sell. So the market for where you're going, for that you're targeting, are people who don't currently have a home.
Okay. Now, just to your point about sellers, whether or not they can purchase another house, it's a seller's market. And investors are buying up a lot of the properties. And so it's so much stuff going on now. So many people are moving into Atlanta from other states, California, New York, and they're used to paying $600,000 and $700,000 and $800,000 for a house. That's nothing to them. So when they come here and see $300,000 or $400,000, it's like, gosh, what is this? So there's a lot of stuff in the mix right now.
And I think that's the biggest challenge that I think people are having right now, is knowing that there are houses out there that people can buy, but the pricing is just kind of crazy right now, and I think that's really what's challenging a lot of people. Well, we have a presentation to go through talk about. Then we'll get into some other issues that may impact people. This is all about the Atlanta Housing Down Payment Assistance Program. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm thinking it simply just to create first-time home buyers from that moderate to low-income group of residents in the city. That's essentially it. And how we do it, we have community partners, we have outreach, we have home buyer education, and other agencies that offer subsidies. So that's really our mission, to increase homeownership opportunities in that group, the moderate to low first-time income home buyers.
Okay, and these are some of your stakeholders, the folks that you work with. And I'm thinking that from looking at these stakeholders, they're mostly folks that do counseling and that kind of thing. Would that be accurate?
A lot of them, yes. Habitat for Humanity, NACA, they do in-house counseling. D&E is an Operation Hope. They offer first-time homebuyer classes, getting people ready to know what do I expect? What should I expect when I'm purchasing my first house? Because a lot of people just don't know. So they start at A and go to Z in terms of what to expect. And so most of our partners, Atlanta Land Trust, Invest Atlanta, Atlanta Police Foundation is a special program just for police officers.
Wow.
So if you buy in the area where you live, you could almost get $100,000 in down payment assistance just to buy, if you're a police officer, just to buy where you live.
$100,000 if you're a police officer?
Yes.
That's a lot. And these are some of the lenders that you participate, which is a who's who of lenders in the Atlanta area. Some of the big fish that are around that do a lot of lending. Now, these are the requirements.
They've all been approved to our program. They know how to do our program. It makes their life easier and our life easier. So if you choose from among that list, you can't go wrong.
So let's go through some of the requirements here that we're looking at. Let me stay from, okay. So here's some of the requirements.
Yeah, so you cannot have owned a home. We said first-time home buyer means you've never owned a home, or your name is not on title. It cannot be on title for any reason from 3 years from the date you're purchasing. Okay?
Okay.
So it could be you never owned a home, or your name is not on any title from 3 years of the date that you're trying to apply. That's what first time home ownership means to us. So because we
Okay.
have a lot of people who come through, got divorced and 5 years or 6 years ago, but they can still come through and get our money.
So you could have owned a home, but right now you don't own a home in the last 3 years. You would still qualify as a
Yes.
first time buyer for this program's eligibility requirements. Okay, that's good to know.
As long as your name is not showing up on any title anywhere else and hasn't for the last 3 years, you're eligible for our program.
Okay, excellent.
And so a buyer must contribute $1,500 of their own funds into the game. We figure that's only fair to put. You got to have some skin in the game, right?
Right.
So that $1,500 is comprised of earnest money, appraisal fees, and inspection fees. So if all of those fees collectively add up to $1,500, you're good with us.
Okay.
So and that's all we ask. That's all we require. Okay. The lender may have some other requirements, but that's all we require.
Got it. Okay.
And so the home buyer's income cannot exceed 80% of area median income. HUD just released, each year HUD releases new numbers, and they just released it a couple of weeks ago. So I think the 100% is 82,000, if you're going for 100%, but ours is 80% because remember, we're marketing that low to moderately low group, right? So
Right.
we're at, I think it's 68,940 or something like that. That's where we are. Your income cannot exceed that today. Now, we don't do household size. We just do, whoever the principal borrower is, their income cannot exceed that.
Okay. So if it was joint, then together it can't be more than 68. Is that correct?
Cannot. If they're married or co-borrowers or whatever. But let me just make this distinction. If you have a co-borrower, that co-borrower must be living in that residence. You can't have somebody help get you this loan and they don't live there. Everybody has to reside in that neighborhood, in that residence.
Okay. All right. So with 68,000, and we'll get it. We'll go ahead. We'll go, because my question with that would be, so how much of a house is somebody making 69,000 looking to buy? What's the price range generally for something like that? What type of?
They can go in the mid 200s. Yeah.
Mid 200s. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
Because with 250, you're looking probably at maybe what, $1,200, $1,100, $1,300 mortgage payment, $1,400, probably somewhere in that range.
A little more. Well, with the interest rates down now, about 15, 16. But
15, 16. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not bad, because if you live in Atlanta and you're staying in a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment, I mean, generally you're looking at least probably $1,200, $1,300 in rent that you're currently paying, right?
And that's
maybe more, depending on.
That's our selling point. If you're paying that now, you might as well buy. All you need to do is just get your credit together and let us help you.
Right.
And so it doesn't make sense to just keep paying somebody else's rent forever. Get your own and start building some wealth. So that's what we say all the time. That's our selling point. One of our selling points. Yeah.
Okay. And the next item, properties have to be purchased by a single family, detached townhome, or condominium. So you have a single family home, but it can't be multifamily then.
No, it can't be a duplex.
It can't be
right.
a duplex.
It has to be a single family condo or townhouse for us.
Got it. Okay.
And and so we come in on the very back end of this process, Dr. Ross. So you have to already be pre-approved by a lender. You have to already be under contract with the property before you even come to us. That's why that lender list is so important, because they know how to do these programs, right? And so they make your life and our lives much easier, right? Because they can send us everything we need to get you qualified. They already know. So that's very important, to get someone who knows how to do the program. We don't deal with internet-based lenders. They have to be a Georgia-based lender, and they have to have taken a course from us. So we try to make sure all of our pieces are together here so that it works for the buyer. That's the most important thing. Yeah.
So when you talk about having taken a course, do those companies that let's go back to the list here of companies. Oh, that's the
Mm-hmm.
lender list. Let's go back.
That's it.
So you would take a course from one of these
You
companies?
may, well, we're talking two different things, right? The lenders come in and get familiar with our program. That's a course that we offer just for lenders, okay? The first-time home buyers would take a class from Operation Hope or D&E or NACA or Habitat
Okay.
or Urban League. Those are the agencies that offer first-time home buyer classes. And it's an 8-hour class, and most lenders, and you get a certificate after the 8-hour class, and most lenders require that you provide certification before moving along in the approval process. So it's good for everybody.
So if someone was going to use your program on the front end, would they tell a lender, well, I'm going to get some down payment assistance from Atlanta Housing, and then they would know that you're going to be going through one of these programs, or they may have a program that you've approved that they can go through and get a certificate and qualify under that realm? Is that the way it works?
Well, sometimes, what we would like to see happen is that sometimes people will just reach out to us and say, well, I heard about your program and how do I sign up, right? So what we do, we suggest that they go to one of these first-time home buying agencies so they can learn the process of what to do first, second, and third, right? Mm-hmm. And then those agencies have a relationship with most of the lenders that we deal with. So they automatically would say, well, yeah, you choose from this list if you're familiar with someone, and we go from there. So we try to make sure that the buyer is always looked after, taken care of up front. We don't want them stumbling through the process. We want them to be with reputable people. We want them to get good information, and we want this process to be a good one for them.
And I think that's important, that first-time home buyers, first-time homeowners go to some type of class, because a lot of people think, well, okay, all I need is just get the house. They don't understand that you can't call the landlord or the leasing office to get something repaired. You got to take care of the grass. You've got to put money aside for emergencies if your heat or air goes out. I mean, these are things that folks don't think about because they haven't had to think about them before, because they're renting, and if anything goes wrong with the apartment or the house they're renting from, they call the landlord or the leasing office and they take care of it. Now you got to be responsible for a lot more than you had before. And I think, I can't back this up with any statistics, but I would think a lot of people run into trouble with their house when they don't realize that, I've got to take care of all this stuff. I've got to set money aside for emergencies that might come up, and they will come up. I don't care if it's a new house or a resale, something's going to come up. Hot water heater goes out, the air conditioning goes out, you need some repairs done on the roof or whatever the case may be. That really, creates a different environment. So I think it's good that they have that as part of the process to understand, that this is your house and you can't call anybody to come in and take care of it.
You can't call anybody, absolutely. And that's a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. That's a great point, because and that's why it's so important that they get this information on the front end, right? Well, nobody told me. Well, I didn't think of, we don't want those kinds of things to occur. We want to, as much as humanly possible, to have answered all of their questions relative to, even if they have an HOA, that's another situation where you got to pay additional funds just for maintenance and stuff. And we also suggest that they get a home warranty. When you especially if it's an older house, get a home warranty to protect your heating and air system, your wash and dry, those big ticket items, so that you don't get yourself into those kinds of binds. So that was a good one, yeah.
And that is, like I said, that is so important. I remember when I bought my first house, I didn't really think about all that, and then
you were just so happy, right?
You're so happy to get in the house, and then you find out that, oh wow, the hot water heater went out, or this went out, or the air conditioning, or whatever, and you have nobody to call. You have to take care of it yourself, or do it out. If the air conditioning goes out in the summer, guess what? You can't afford to buy it. Guess what? It's going to be some fans going around.
It's going to be some fans in the winter. They may put you out the neighborhood.
Been there, done that.
It's a beautiful process.
How do you guys, there's some other qualifications. Okay, continue on.
Okay, I didn't hear what you said. You
I
want to go
said
on?
there's other program requirements. That we need to look at. So
Yeah, well, what we're doing now is we created a preference list, right? And the preference list includes veterans, educators, healthcare workers, Section 8 recipients or subsidized housing recipients. They're eligible for $25,000 in down payment assistance, of which you do not have to pay back if
wow,
you stay in the property for 10 years as your primary residence. Now, let me clarify something. Educators mean paraprofessionals, teachers. It could be the sister that works in the lunchroom. Okay, we included everybody in there, custodial services. As long as they're in that educational environment, they get the money.
that's amazing.
And we do that with healthcare workers as well. They, in whatever capacity they work in the hospital, they're eligible for the money. So we thought that was a good thing. And then of course, first responders and veterans.
So let me think about it. So why would the city of Atlanta offer this kind of program? What's the a theory behind it? Why are they willing to give first-time home buyers, 20, 25 grand? And you say with police officers could be up to 100 grand. Why are they willing to do that? What's the theory behind it?
To stabilize neighborhoods.
Okay.
To stabilize inner city neighborhoods that are gentrifying so quickly that we may not be able to ever catch up, right? Mm-hmm. So we're stabilizing neighborhoods, we're stabilizing schools, we're stabilizing, just the environment around where they're purchasing. That's the catalyst behind it, to stabilize inner city neighborhoods.
And that's great. And why have you picked? And why did they pick these people? These are, of course, public safety would be police officers and so forth, educators, healthcare. Why that category? I guess they want to encourage those folks to.
To stay in the city, buy in the city, stay in the city, stay in your neighborhoods, send your kids to neighborhood schools, all of those things. And we wanted to provide a mechanism for them to get the help to do that.
And of course, by encouraging people to stay in the neighborhood, they, of course, get the property taxes. That's the other side of it. Okay, and that makes sense. It's self-serving, but you're giving something in advance.
Well, somebody's gonna get the taxes, right? If you go to Atlanta or Cobb County, somebody's gonna get them. So right. It might as well be us, right?
Right. And
so,
now this other bullet, number 11, is interesting. It says that you can use the down payment assistance funding from other sources, combined down payment assistance programs.
Yes. Like Invest Atlanta, for instance, Invest Atlanta, they have their own down payment assistance program. So if say for instance a buyer is eligible for our $20,000 or $25,000, they may be also eligible for another $20,000 Invest Atlanta. We don't have anything to do with their separate entity from us, but we do allow layering, so they can layer those funds. And sometimes Wells Fargo has they'll sometimes kick in another 10 grand. So it's just about where you can find the money. So I have seen first-time home buyers walk out of our door with 60 grand in down payment assistance.
Wow.
So it's just about who has funding, at that particular time. A lot of factors, but it does happen, yeah.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. And so the property has to be purchased within the city of Atlanta. Yeah. And the maximum sale price can't be more than $270K. All right. Okay.
75.
That's about the going price for most in Atlanta area for the most part. I don't think you can find stuff. You can find some stuff probably cheaper than that, like obviously. But
well, you can find stuff. It's gonna be a lot of rehab going on with it. You know what I mean? So. And let me just clarify that, Dr. Ross, you are eligible, even though we give you the 20 or 25 grand, if you find a property that's going to need some work, we will allow up to the lender to give you an additional 30,000 for rehab.
Wow. Okay.
If you need some bathroom and heating and air. So we try to make this real, for the buyer. We try to make it as easier for them as possible to take some of it, as you just described. In an older house, they're wiring or it may not be up to standard, those kinds of things. So we try to help with those kinds of things.
Wow. And so it says Atlanta Housing will record a subordinate second lien on the property at time of closing, and it's forgivable after 10 years. Now, people don't know what that is. Explain what a subordinate second lien on a property, because the mortgage holder will have the first lien, right?
Yes, and we'll have the second lien. And whoever puts in the most money gets a lien position. So for instance, if we put in 25 and Invest Atlanta put in 20, they would be third lien position. And all that means is it's going to be recorded as a lien on your property. And so but it will not stop you from applying for credit. It's not looked at negatively or anything like that. All it says to the person that's looking at the title is that, hey, somebody else is on here and they might need to get paid in addition to this major thing. And so subordination means just other people underneath the first person. That's all, the first buyer, lender. That's all that means.
And I guess they're saying that if this deal goes south, in other words, that if the property, if the owner, goes through foreclosure, you're going to be in second position to get your money once the house is sold and get it back. Okay.
Yeah, you may or may not, but you're on there, right? Whoever, sometimes we walk away with nothing. Sometimes that has happened. Mm-hmm. But one thing I wanted to mention, out of the 14 years that I've been doing this, we have less than 1% foreclosure rate.
Wow.
And I think that's very important to say, because we do all the work up front. Mm-hmm. Things will happen, but we do all the work up front to ensure that, person doesn't buy more house than they can afford. Things happen in life, but we are very proud to say that our foreclosure rate has been very minimal.
Right, and it's forgivable after 10 years. So after 10 years. Okay.
And let me describe this, if I may. Okay. So like I said, we come in on the very back end of the process. So you have to already be pre-approved by a lender. You have to already be under contract with the property. Then the lender sends over the file to us for us to underwrite to see if they're eligible for our additional funds. Because you're dealing with a lender partner that we've already trained. They know what. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Mm-hmm.
So they know what to expect. So that makes it so much easier for everyone. So all the buyer has to do is say, look, this is going to be my primary residence for 10 years. So what happens if they don't stay 10 years? For the first 5 years of the 10-year period, should they move or sell, they have to pay us all of our money back, 20 or 25 grand. No interest, dollar for dollar. We didn't charge interest. Year 6 through year 10, it starts to burn off in 20% intervals, right? So on your anniversary date in year 10, it's totally burned off. And awesome. So you will get a release of lien from our legal department, and you're done with Atlanta Housing. But there's a part 2 to that, Dr. Ross. Throughout this 10-year period, should you move or sell and realize a profit on that property, mm-hmm. in addition to paying us back what you owe us, we also share in the profit of your sale.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So it's in your best interest, if you're buying a property, that you plan on staying there at least 10 years.
Yes, it's not a program for flippers. We get it all the time. They'll think they can come in. No, you can't come in and get our money and not pay. You got to pay. So we're not a payday. We say we're not a payday loan or anything, but we might be close at times. But
so repayment of capture is done at that time. Let me see what else we got here. Okay, so done with that. So let's just go to some questions. There's a question. So how does a person sign up for the program? How do they get access, to this program?
Usually it's they hear about us. They hear about us from different sources. If they're Section 8 participants, they may hear from us throughout some of their briefings. Word of mouth, lenders, realtors. They come to us in various ways, right? So the word is out that Atlanta Housing gives out money. So it don't take long for that word to get out.
So is there a website for people to go to, or a phone number to call?
Yeah, you can. I can give you my phone number, please.
Okay.
It's 404-408-3941. Now that's a remote number because we're not in the office right now.
Okay. Oh, you okay? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good to know.
we haven't gotten back in the office yet. Don't know when, but I can give you an office number as well, so that you'll
Okay.
have it. It's 404
Uh-huh.
685 four
Okay.
three four six.
4346.
Yes, and that will be working once we get back into the office. Right now, we go in like 5 hours once a week.
5 hours once a week. That does. How's that working for you guys? With all the stuff.
Actually, it's been going pretty well. We've been just as busy at home as we ever were in the office. And
Really?
we created a new mechanism for the lenders to send their files, and we don't see buyers face to face anymore. So we do conference calls, Zoom calls, and they upload the files electronically. So it's been working actually.
Do you have um, a limited amount of money available? Is this a X amount of dollars available for down payment or to replenishing pot?
Let me just say, God has been good to us because they've been replenishing our pot for the last few years. In fact, we ran out of money like last month, but our CEO and our senior staff was gracious enough to give us money to last through July 1st, right? And then our new budget starts July 1st. So we have already spent almost $3 million, okay,
Wow.
just for this year.
And so you've already spent how much? 3 million?
Yeah.
Whoa. I mean, this year or do your fiscal year?
This year.
Wow. Just in the first 4 months of the year.
No. July 1st of last year.
That's okay, got it.
Through June 30th. That's our fiscal year.
Wow. That is just
that's a lot of work, Dr. Rante. That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of money. What would you advise a person to do? Well, the one thing we haven't discussed is credit score. Is this minimum credit score you need?
Well, remember I told you they first got to get past the lender before they even come to us, right? So even though we have a minimum credit score, we have a scoring analysis sheet that, they'll just get lower points. They just don't get knocked out. Okay. They may get, if they're around the 600, they may get 3 points rather than 5 points. Right. Okay. But if they've already been pre-approved by the lender and the lender has agreed to give them the $250,000 already with a 600 or 620 credit score, they can still come through with us. Wow. As long as they score above a 70 on our analysis sheet, they're good with us.
And for what's the biggest category of folks do you have coming for the down payment assistance as far as the special categories, healthcare, education? What's the biggest category of folks that you see coming through the program? Is there a certain category of people? Whether it's police officers, educators, healthcare? We
do get a lot of educators. The word has gotten out among the educators. So we do get a lot of those. We get a lot of healthcare people. We get a lot of veterans. And we just get a lot of people who work at UPS and Delta and, those kind of places. So it's across the spectrum. And I tell people all the time, I said, you'll realize what kind of gift this is. Go down to Wells Fargo or Chase and ask for $25,000. See what they take you through, right?
Are the banks real active in telling people who come and apply for a loan that there's down payment assistance? Who get since you guys don't advertise, at least I haven't seen any advertising, who is your biggest, I guess, supporter? Is it the realtors? Is it the banks? Which ones
lenders. The lenders are banks. Yeah, lenders, because
lenders. Okay.
We help them tremendously because they can close more loans with that because we got money for them.
So they're trained that when they come into the bank and they're looking for a loan for a mortgage, then do they normally ask them, are you going to need down payment assistance or you want to explore that opportunity?
Yes, because you already know with the mortgage loan, there's going to be some down payment assistance and closing costs involved here. They're going to want to know where is that coming from. Do you have it in your personal account to be able to take care of that, or are you going to need assistance? So that's just a standard question.
Okay. And so once they go to the bank and they say, okay, I want to get a loan, and the bank takes them through the process of pre-qualifying them. And they say, well, here's down payment assistance, but you're going to have to go through a workshop, a seminar, a class for 8 hours to do that. And normally they have to do that. That's a requirement. They can't get around that. Okay.
That's right. Right.
Once they do that, that qualifies them for the down payment assistance. So if they don't go through the class, they can't get it.
No. That's a lender requirement. That's
okay.
A bank requirement that they attend that class, right? We suggest it strongly, right? That they attend the class because we know all the things you just described about all the things that they never thought of. They're going to get that information in that class. That's why we recommend it, because remember, they don't come to us to the very back end of the process in terms of asking for our money. All that other stuff has already been done. Getting pre-approved, finding a house, all of that has already been done before they even come to us. We get calls all the time about, I hear you guys got monies for first-time home buyers. Yes, we do, and we'll refer them back to the lender list and have them choose somebody off that list, so that people who know how to do the program and who will give them the most money.
And I think that makes a lot of sense, for a lot of folks to, know that this is going to be something, and working with people who, who are going to, take you through the process, who want to help you get a loan. I mean, that's a unique program, from that standpoint, to help you get you through the process to be able to do that, in terms of making sure that you have all the information you need to make sure you'll be successful. And the fact that you have a 1%, foreclosure rate, that's great.
It's great. And it comes to, we look at this like a ministry. You know what I mean? It's much more than a job. You're dealing with people, you're dealing with first-time home buyers, you're dealing with young people, you're dealing with old people, you're dealing with all kinds of people. So you got to like what you do. You got to like people. That's the first thing.
Right.
And then you got to be to help, whatever you can do. Because I think it could be me, it could be my daughter, it could be my sister. I want someone to give them the same kind of time that I'm giving, that I would want. So I want all the most information that I can get up front in terms of how to make this process easy for me, and helpful for me. And helpful would be, how can I get the most money if I need some help? Where can I get it from? And we have those people in place up front to answer those questions. And we work very closely with them. We have a great relationship with most of the lenders, most of the banks, most of the realtors. We have a great relationship with them. We are a member of the board of realtors. All of those things. So they get information. Although we don't advertise, I don't think we could keep up if we advertise, for real. Because I'm a realtor, and I said, if your realtor is worth their salt, they're going to find you some money, right? If they're not, then you should not be with them.
And that's really very key, that having a realtor that's going to in our next episode in May, we're going to have a realtor coming on talking about, how to work with a real estate agent. Because imagine you're a first-time home buyer, Ms. Brown, and you've never bought a house, and you got to deal with this person that you maybe got a referral from a friend, you got it out of the phone book or Rolodex, or saw an ad on the paper, whatever. And now you got to learn. And that process, I think, is one. So I'm excited about having her on in the middle of May. And we're going to be talking about how to work with a realtor and what the realtor should do for you, because you need to know what they're supposed to do so you can hold their feet to the fire and make sure they do their job.
At the end of the day, they're getting paid. You know what I mean? They're getting a commission.
Right.
The lender is getting a commission. So everybody should be working on your behalf to make sure you're a happy customer. Right. That's the bottom line. Right. And if they're not, you got the wrong people. And we tell them that all the time. If you don't have there's a synergy between you and this group, you might want to look at changing the group, because if you got to be calling me and I'm on the back end, something is wrong.
Right.
Because you should be getting all your information up front with the people, with the lender and the realtor. But I get calls all the time. Well, what about this, Ms. Brown? Or what about that, Ms. Brown? Because they know I'm going to answer their questions, right? And so, but it's, we get there. We get there. There's challenges here like everywhere. And I'm sure the realtor will tell you that. everybody ain't the same. So
Right, right. And there's a lot of things, like if you're working for a buyer's agent, a seller's agent, all those type of things makes a difference. Makes a difference in that process. Well, Ms. Brown, thank you so much. And I want to give the phone number out again. Two numbers. Ms. Brown's number is 404-408-3941, and then 404-685-4346. Do correctional, I got a question. Does correction officers qualify?
I can't remember. I have to check on that. I don't think so, but I don't know if they would be considered first responders.
Right. Yeah, because that would be public safety. That doesn't come into public safety. You're really talking about being in the prison system. Yeah, and doing it. Now, this is your website, right? Can you see that?
Yes. Yes, okay. I do.
So if people come to this website, where would they go to get information about
one of the programs?
One of the programs. Let's
yeah.
Click that on. Okay.
And scroll all the way down, please.
Okay.
Go back up. I went too far. You went too quickly for me. Go back up to program. All the way up a little bit, please. You should see programs. You see housing there?
Let's see. Housing programs?
Yes.
Click that on.
Yes, and we should go out and scroll there.
How to apply.
Yeah. No, that's not it, because that's section 8.
So let's go back.
But if you go under housing programs, I haven't looked at this in a while.
Oh, hold on.
Go under, see if it's under real estate. I'm not sure.
Go under real estate? Okay.
Yeah, see if it's under real estate. I'm not sure. They may have moved it.
See development and quality communities.
Okay, that's not. It's going to be back under programs. It should be.
How about housing options? No.
Yeah, let's go there. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only place I've ever found it. I don't know if they're updating the website or something or anything like that.
They changed it
on yes, under housing programs, and it's under down payment assistance.
Let me see, applicant portal.
Are you? Is that a .org or you under .org or .org?
AtlantaHousing.org. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Community senior plans, regulatory. Because y'all do a lot of stuff. Y'all do the Section 8 stuff too.
We do it. That's what mostly that was talking about. And but it was, yeah. Let's go on to participant eligibility. See what's under there.
Okay, let me go back for a second.
And I apologize for that, because
that's okay.
Under housing programs, you didn't see anything?
Credit to the income limit.
Okay, so that's section 8. That's section 8.
That's section 8. Okay.
Yeah. Go up on the quick link. Go up on the quick link. See if we're housing programs. See that right there on the housing program? Yeah. Go on. Yeah. Huh? Well, I will get that for you. I will make sure that I get that information, but it's on there. And what it does is it talks about the program's eligibility requirements. But if they can't find it, please have them call that number, and we'll get it to them. Absolutely. Okay.
But the number to call is 404-408-3941, or that's Ms. Brown's direct number, or 404-685-4346.
And both of those numbers are to me, and I'll make sure you get everything you need relative to eligibility requirements, anything that they need. If you call that number, I will assure all your listeners that I will certainly get it to them. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Any parting questions or recommendations for anybody who is thinking about buying a home?
And let's get started. No better time. People will say, well, 10 years is a long time, but nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So we can't worry about 10 years, the length of time on this loan. I say, let's get started. Now you got wonderful people in place to help you. The money's available. All you have to do is be ready, get started, and take the first step. I said, let's go.
And so the first step would be to go to a lender and get pre-qualified, basically.
That's the first step.
And that you want, and you have to say you want down payment assistance. So they would know what program to send you to.
But I'm telling you, Dr. Ross, most lenders already know when they look at your stuff. When they look at your tax forms and your this and your that, they look at your bank statements. They already know whether or not you're going to need some help. So they automatically should be saying that. Well, maybe we can find you some money over Atlanta Housing or Invest Atlanta or some other places if you don't want to stay in the city. So it starts with them. It starts with the buyer wanting to own a home. That's where it first starts.
Right.
Once that starts, then they can call us. They can call anywhere that they've heard about how to get started, and we'd be more than happy to help them. But between the lender and the first-time homebuyer agencies, like we talked about, D&E, Urban League of Atlanta, and Operation Hope, give them everything they need about getting started. Anything you need, but you can always call those numbers that you just gave for me, and I'll make sure that they're put in the right place to get started. I said, get started. This is a perfect time.
Yeah, and we're coming up into the buying season right now. This being April, May, people start looking for houses, during the summer when the kids are out of school, so they can get it done before, the kids go to school, whatever the case may be. If you hear some stuff in the background, I've got some work going on here. So
I heard.
You hear that? Yeah.
Nothing can take anybody's mind off of 20 or 25,000. It got to be more than a little noise in the background. I can tell you that. You get 25 grand, I ain't paying that no attention. Okay.
All I hear is I can get some free money, and that qualifies a lot of folks to get houses. Now, I know we're talking about Atlanta. Do the other counties have similar programs like this?
Some of them do, not a lot. So, like the other municipalities, like Marietta Housing Authority, DeKalb Housing Authority, Riverdale and College Park, East Point. Sometimes they have small, funding sources that will help, but not to the degree that we do. But some really do. They do. Right. And so for the people who don't want to live in the city proper, I refer them out like that. I said, we're not the only game in town. Check with all these other municipalities to see what they have to offer, because for sure, most of the sale prices are going to be a little lower.
Right.
In the other places. So you may be able to pick up something for 190, that's really nice out there, but you probably wouldn't be able to find in the city.
Right.
So,
I think that's the thing, that is so important, that people understand that the city of Atlanta has a lot of options that some of the other counties don't have in terms of the breadth. I mean, if you guys done $1 million, since July, that's a lot, and so you've been giving away, and you have special programs for certain categories of workers, and that's a neat thing. But it's not relegated to that, right? Am I correct in that?
That's right.
Okay, so it's special program for special categories of occupations, but it's open to anybody working anywhere.
Anywhere. That special preface category only speaks to $25,000.
Right.
All others are eligible for the $20,000. So it's open to everybody. The $20,000 is open to everybody.
Got it.
As long as the money lasts. So you can't get it, Dr. Ross. You can't get it no better than that. I mean, for real.
You can't. And like you said, if you advertise, your cup would be running over with people. You'd never be able to handle the number of people that would come through your door, want the assistance. So it's got to be for serious people. Now, some people just kicking tires, but if they went to a bank and got qualified, that's a screening process in and of itself to say you're really interested. And being in the city of Atlanta, that's the other category. You got to be within 285 in the city of Atlanta, which would makes it a little different from that perspective, that I would think. But I think it's a great program, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure people know about it.
Well, I tell you, I think today we have 1,200 or 1,300 new home buyers that probably would not have been home buyers had it not been for the assistance of Atlanta Housing. So you have to give kudos to Atlanta Housing. I mean, for real. They have been wonderful. That I can't say enough about our senior management and our board and our CEO, Eugene Jones. They've been wonderful. In ensuring that we have been kept with funding. We haven't run out of money in years, and that's unheard of because everyone else has.
Right, right. Where's the money come from? Does this come from the city of Atlanta taxpayer? I mean, where's the money? Do people donate
Well,
money?
no, it's come from our budget. It's
Okay.
allocated to our budget each year. Mhm.
So you look at last year and say, okay, we did 1 million. This year we made 1,500,000, or I guess,
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what we do.
All right.
That's how we project. And
Good.
and last year, let me just for the record, we are at almost 3 million, not 1 million, already for this year. So
Right.
we're gonna be asking at least 4 or 5 million, because it's warranted. We got the numbers to prove it. We got the numbers to prove it, and we have that very low foreclosure rate to prove that what we do works.
Right. Right. And like I said, you have the second lien position on them. So you're going to get your money back if
Right.
something doesn't go the way it's supposed to. So I think that's a big deal,
And plus, not only that, sometimes if people run into a hardship, we have a loan committee comprised of senior staff and other staff. So let's say there was a death in the family and they have to sell, and they don't have the money to pay us back for whatever the reasons are. It goes to the committee, and the committee decides, well, we can waive this.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and so we have all those things in place to address all of those special needs.
So for example, with let's say with FHA mortgages, normally it's like 3% down. So if you're buying, say, a $200,000 house, that's $6,000. So if you got 20, then that takes care of that requirement. Is that the way that works?
No, it takes care of that. It takes care of the down payment. It takes care of the closing costs, whatever the closing cost is going to be on the back end. And if there's anything left, it buys the loan amount down, which means that you're going to walk out of there with a lower mortgage.
Okay, well, let's back up. So if I'm buying a $200,000 house, right, and I'm doing FHA normally is what, 3% down, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's $6,000. So the 20 grand can't go towards that. No, yes.
It's going to pay for the $6,000. And
Say that again.
It's going to pay for the $6,000 towards your down payment, right? If there's another $12,000 needed for your closing costs, it'll go to that as well.
Okay.
And if there's anything left, if there's another $2,000 left, it'll go to your loan amount, which buys down your loan amount, which equals to a lower mortgage rate at the end of the month.
Okay, got it.
So the whole 20 grand is going to be utilized. It just can't be utilized. If you only need 6, you only need 6. We don't determine that. The lender determines that.
Right.
We're telling them they're eligible for all of this money. So you figure out where it goes, and then as long as it works for them. But it covers closing costs, down payment, and loan amount. Yes.
Awesome. Well, Ms. Brown, thank you so much for being a guest, and we're going to let you go so you get back into the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Well, you see, I get passionate about this stuff, so I've been doing it so long. It's a part of me.
Well, the first time we talked, I sensed that passion in your voice, that you love what you do, and really, buying a home, as corny as it may sound, it's the first step in being a part of the American dream, so to speak. If you don't own a home, if you're not a property owner, then you really are not participating in the full part of the American dream and the wealth that having property, accrues to you. Equity building up wealth, and it's something, God forbid, that you can pass on to your kids, and to your loved ones, if something happens to you. So it's an asset that eventually that you own. So
let me tell you this. This is a beautiful story that just happened a couple weeks ago in a session that we did. Mm-hmm. We have a brother who grew up. He says, I'm a Section 8 baby, right? He grew up in Section 8. Mm-hmm. Got off Section 8 because his mom died, right? I mean, they gave him the voucher because his mom died, right? Mm-hmm. They lived in a complex. It was a subsidized complex, right? Housing Authority ended up tearing the complex down, right?
Wow.
He was able to take that voucher and move into those townhouses over on Pryor Road, over there. You know where they are by Lakewood? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so he's a City of Atlanta firefighter. He's been through the program. He got the $25,000. I mean, he just went the gamut. But you can see if you work hard, the point being is you work hard and stay focused, it'll work for you. So he just bought the place that he was using for his voucher. He just bought it.
Wow.
And we gave him $25,000 because he's a firefighter.
So he was on Section 8, I guess, and
Yeah.
was renting a place, and
Was
then
renting a
he
place.
applied to the program, and he was able to buy the house that he was renting it from,
Yes,
basically.
yes,
Wow.
yes.
Wow. That's
But
great.
I said all this is still, as a child, he was on, his mom was on Section 8. So he done came all the way from a child to adulthood, right?
Mhm.
And now it been able to turn that voucher into home ownership.
That's a great story, and that's what this program obviously is designed to do. Is those
Yes.
people, who may think they can't buy a house, to get them into a house. And once it's like you said, it stabilizes neighborhoods, because if you're not going anywhere, and then I'm in education. The other part of it is that you want to be in an environment where there are more homeowners, because that stabilizes your enrollment as well. Because homeowners are not going anywhere. They can move every year, every 6 months, or whatever the case may be. So I think that's a really good, good thing to have. And kudos to the city of Atlanta for that's one of the programs that I don't know who keeps calling me, but I can't.
They want you to hurry up, get up out of here.
Well, it's coming. Now, the biggest problem with now that they let telemarketers call you on your cell phone. That's the worst thing they have. I don't know who developed that, because nobody has a home phone anymore, right? So they had to get that law passed. They snuck that one snuck that one in under us. We didn't know about that.
Probably, Dr. Ross, it's probably the home warranty people, the car warranty people. They call like every 5 minutes.
Yeah, those jokers. I'm like, you know what? My wife says all you got to do is hit 9 or something, and then I'll take them off the list. But yeah,
go to another list. But no, but I know we got to go. But no, I just I ask people to please call us if you're interested in home ownership. We're here to help you. We'll do all that we can to put you on the right track. You may not be ready yet, but at least you will know what it's going to take you to get ready. And so that always helps as well. We're not saying everybody is ready, because everybody isn't. But we can help you with your credit. We can recommend some places that you can go to help get credit, get help with that, and all the other things that you need. So I would say just give us a call, and we'll do our very best to help.
And I think that's the biggest part, is that you have to start somewhere. I know when we had our conference a couple of weeks ago, that your session was one of the biggest attended sessions, in the on the conference, because people, first time home buyers, and we had a bunch of teachers that were interested, in that. And I told them,
I've gotten some of those calls. I've gotten some calls from some of the people that were
good. I'm glad to hear that, because they would come to me. I said, well, call Ms. Brown. He, and ask about this. Nothing hurts you just to call and get information about what you need to do and start the process, because it is a process, so, but guess what? At the end of the day,
it takes 30 days from the day that I receive your file. We ask for 30 days or less, and you could be closed.
Wow.
So it's not no 6 months, years. It's 30 days from the day I receive your file.
Right. And if they've never been through that program, never through that process, they really don't understand what it's going to take. And I think that I'm glad that you require that they take a class, a course, to make sure they understand what they're getting into. Because if you've never owned a home, and then you don't know what it means to be able to do that. Yeah, you definitely don't know how to do that. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Brown.
Thank you so much.
And I'm sure we're going to be working together, because, like I said, at our school, we want to do these things at least on a quarterly basis, because I think there's folk out there that need the information and things that you guys provide.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to the next one.
All right. Have a good evening. All right.
Thank you, you too. Bye-bye.
All right. That's some good stuff, that she was been sharing with us. And I think that it's important. If you're interested in buying a home, you're a first time home buyer, the number to call 404-408-3941 or 404-685-4346. If you don't know anybody, if you know somebody in your family that could take advantage of this, then please do, and share it, because, we need to have, money conversations. We have everything out, conversations about everything else, but you need to talk about money. And if people around you that in your network don't own a home, you need to ask them why you don't own a home. Well, you know, there's down payment assistance. If you go to the city of Atlanta, if you're not in the city of Atlanta, you can look at, other counties and inquire about it. Okay. Well, you've been listening to Your Personal Finance with Dr. Charles Ross. Thank you so much for viewing us and listening if you're on your smartphone. And we'll see you back here next month in May. May 13th will be our next program. And we'll have somebody on talking about credit as well, talking about how to work with a real estate agent. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.